Every day, you essentially pay your dues by doing the harder thing when it's the right thing to do. Okay, big picture, what are our goals here? Okay, number one, I think everyone clearly knows to get new skills, right? Everyone in the competitive side of things is looking at like, are we going to get new skills, master old skills? Are we going to move up in level? If we're going to repeat a level, are we going to try to just master things that are before maybe we struggled with? Not everyone is looking to do, club level, move up and compete and stuff like that. It could just be that you want to get new skills because you want to get new skills and they're fun. And that might be your only time to work on it, is more of the recreational side. So if you're maybe just taking a 3-month block where you're working on drills and skills and foundational work because you're in adult gymnastics and that's cool to you, that's awesome. You still want to plan just the same way you would do all the way down the road. But for the vast majority of people listening to this, they're working with a gymnast or a team that is in one of the disciplines of artistic gymnastics or trampoline or tumbling or aerobic or rhythmic, and they're trying to think about what can they do to get new skills to possibly move up in level for the next competitive year, or do the same level again and just really, really knock it out of the park so they have an awesome experience there. Okay, number two, the most important part of the off season is getting very strong, right? Gymnastics is extremely demanding as you move up in level, as you do harder skills. The strength requirements are very, very important because it's going to help you stay safe. But then also, we've talked about before how power is very much the foundation coming from strength. So if you want to get really, really powerful down the road and have explosive tumbling passes, huge vaults, big ring sets, big P-bar skills, huge jumps on trampoline, right? All those jumps and leaps, you have to get strong as the baseline. So that's really the biggest priorities. We're actually going to be intentionally taking some of the energy that maybe we would normally put towards skill work and routine work in gymnastics specific conditioning, and we're going to funnel that into the general strength bucket, because you really only have this 8 to 12 week period to get super duper strong before you have to get back into preseason mode and get ready for routines. Okay, and number three is going to be building the framework for trying to make sure we work hard throughout the competitive year, but we manage our schedule and we're really setting our eyes on important goals. So what are those goals we want to try to hit? We're going to start to slice those up and think about what are the short-term goals we have to do to match those. Okay, so we're trying to build in that kind of framework for what does it have to go into to how much we need to work out and show up in attendance wise and work hard in our strength and conditioning. How many turns should we be taking? Like that, just the pace of the workouts. We kind of build that in the summer about how it is to work really, really hard throughout the year. I want everyone to just buckle up here a little bit. I'm not sure if this is new for people, okay, but I firmly believe before we enter the off season, I first believe that a full month of relative off season is important after the hardest meet of the season. So college, this is pretty much a staple. This is always done. But I believe that we still have a huge problem with year-round training in gymnastics and early specialization that is doing us a disservice. I think that we don't need a 4 to 5 month off season. I think that's crazy. We saw that particularly with the pandemic. But what we did see is a lot of athletes who said, I've never felt better mentally and physically when I got a full extended month rest. A lot of friends of mine who are very, very high-level athletes told me that. And I think, yes, we went too far and it was tough to get back and the situation was challenging. But I think the lesson that we can be taking away here is that it is not only possible for gymnasts to take an off month or an off season, but it's actually probably more exciting and probably actually helpful for them to do that, right? So when I approach this, what I have always done in some of the gyms I work in, when I consult with people and I tell them this, and they sometimes have a jarring reaction, is I think first you should have 2 complete weeks off. Give all of the athletes, all the coaches, everybody 2 weeks off from training. You can certainly do staff training then. You can certainly do some organizational work, whatever you want to do. But 2 weeks completely off. Go be a kid. Enjoy your life. Have fun. Work on school stuff. Like, just enjoy yourself and don't worry about it. Get that family vacation in. Actually do things that your hobbies outside of gym. Because I think what this does is it really helps to do as a physical and mental reset, but it also rebuilds some of that excitement for training, right? So many years that I've coached or that I've been involved in programs, like literally they go to nationals, they go to some sort of meet on Friday night, they take Saturday, Sunday off, they're doing new skills on Monday, and they're just like, oh, I feel like crap. I'm still really sore. I'm tired. It's exciting to work skills, but like I'm just drained right now, right? The physical demand on their bodies throughout the competitive season is brutal, not to mention mentally and emotionally how exhausting it is. So I think these 2 weeks as a complete reset are really, really, really important, and I encourage you to talk about that with your staff. The next 2 weeks, as you slowly get back into the gym, are about just trying to do basics and drills and progressions and just kind of get the body going again. Just really foundational technique work. I think it's important here, but you're not coming back in and going super hard the first couple of days, being like, oh, well, you had 2 weeks off, so we should go really, really hard. That is a myth in gymnastics, that time off is what causes an injury or like deconditions them so much that they're getting hurt or they're getting rusty. It's the aggressive spike in workload coming back on those first 2 days where you absolutely kill the kids, that they get super sore and their shins start to get hurt and their back starts to get hurt. So if you intentionally plan for 2 weeks of a slow ramp up as the first month of your 4-month maybe off season, you can prevent a lot of these things, and it gives you a lot of time to work on these foundational basics and drills and get the setup for skills that you want to work on and stuff. It's a much easier process to learn skills when those basics are great and the flexibility is great and the foundation is great. So I would highly encourage people to think about for the next off season taking this framework. It's been extremely beneficial to all the gyms that have done it. It's not enough just to get muscles bigger and stronger. We actually have to teach those muscles how to work. And the way we do that, we look at the literature, is through a couple ways, right? One way is what we've always done, which is classic body weight gymnastic specific training, right? Core work and leg work and arm work, pull-ups, push-ups, rope climbs, leg lifts, all that kind of stuff. We know that works. We know it's really, really good, and it really, really is important for us to do. However, the scientific literature is very, very clear that the way to get stronger and to also increase the activity neurally of working what are called motor units to express that strength, we need to do some sort of external body weight strength training. Okay, so what I mean by that is not only doing your body weight, but adding dumbbells, adding kettlebells, adding weight vests, right? Doing classic, more strength and conditioning type stuff to force the body to change and adapt and grow muscle tissue to then be produced into power down the road. So when we're doing this, I think a lot of the culture is changing now, which is awesome. And we're still seeing more and more people do it. But there's so many now people that are embracing what we call this hybrid model of strength conditioning for gymnastics. So that means not abandoning the body weight stuff, but doing both. Doing maybe 2 days of weight training and 2 days of gymnastic specific work in the off season before we go back to maybe 75%, 25%, where 3 days are gymnastic specific and 1 day is is external loading. And then maybe in the in season, as we talked about, all of it becomes gymnastic specific. And I do not want to go all the way down the rabbit hole on the science and the research and all this stuff, but there's plenty of lectures we have in the Hero Lab here if you want to check it out. But everything you've possibly thought about for a myth, when you have good coaching, good programming, and you're following the scientific evidence for how to do these things with really good quality, all of the myths that are out there are really, really not accurate, right? You won't get bulky. You're not going to make athletes lose their flexibility. The athletes won't just get hurt, right? You won't damage their growth plates and you won't stunt their growth, right? All those things are really just folklore if you're doing an evidence-based, well-coached, and well-programmed strength and conditioning program. And at this point in the last 10 years, I have written hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of lifting programs for gymnasts. And I have also consulted with many, many programs, club, NCAA, and elite. There's not a single one of these things that people were saying is really, really true. If we are, again, proper coaching, proper progression, proper load management, and also proper nutrition and proper sleep management, right? Like a lot of the things people are concerned about with losing flexibility or adding extra bulk happens when they just do a random cookie cutter football program or weightlifting program, and then they don't think anything about recovery, sleep, nutrition, hydration. That's typically where things get problematic. Or they're goofing around when they're doing the weights, they drop something and it hurts their back, or they have poor technique, or they don't have good coaching, or they progress the load too much, they tweak their back or something like that. But the majority, vast majority, 99% of people that I've worked with, when you follow the right approach to it, it's extremely beneficial, and they see massive improvements in their power and massive reductions in their injury risk. Okay, for the upper body now, so we talk about horizontal pulling. So a feet elevated row is probably the best one here. So feet are up on a block, rowing to your chest. Horizontal push would just be a dumbbell floor press, so laying on your back, pressing with 2 dumbbells straight overhead. A push-up is obviously something that's very, very good there as well too. Vertical pull would be a pull-up or some sort of banded angled pull-down, which are really, really great as well. And then a vertical push, you might do a landmine press. A handstand push-up is obviously in that category too as well. Accessory work is kind of going to be some of that rotator cuff stuff we talked about on the later days for accessory work. Also some dynamic stability work, possibly like a Turkish get-up we talked about, or a 90-90 carry. These are all examples of upper body categories to follow. Okay, so just some examples here. This is a renegade row, which is a rowing exercise where you're working on pulling these dumbbells up to your chest for the upper back development, versus on the right side, you can see we have just classic push-ups here on the bottom, the top right. So those would be horizontal pushing and horizontal pulling, respectively. And then we have angled band pull downs. I like this for athletes that struggle with pull-ups and maybe need some extra work. So single arm banded pull downs. And then we also have a half kneeling dumbbell press, which is the opposite of the pull down. So we have a horizontal push and a horizontal pull, and then we have a vertical pull and a vertical push kind of around the horn there.